Silence is not weakness, it's the ultimate power. Buddhism teaches that in silence lies a strength that words can never match, a presence that commands respect without demanding it, an inner force that shapes reality more powerfully than any argument, any explanation, any defense ever could. Most people fear silence. They fill every moment with noise, with talking, with explaining, with proving. They believe that speaking makes them strong, that words give them power, that constant communication shows their value. But Buddhism knows the opposite is true. The person who masters silence holds a power that the constantly speaking person will never understand. They have a presence that doesn't need to announce itself, a strength that doesn't need to prove itself, an authority that everyone feels but no one can challenge. Think about the most powerful people you know, not the loudest, not the ones who talk the most, but the ones who truly command respect. They share something in common. They've mastered the art of strategic silence. They speak less, but when they speak, everyone listens, because their silence has given their words weight. This is not about being shy. This is not about being passive. This is not about hiding or avoiding. This is about understanding one of Buddhism's most profound truths, that silence is a form of power so advanced, so refined, so complete that most people will never grasp it. In our world of constant noise, of social media, of endless content, of people shouting to be heard, silence has become the rarest commodity. And like all rare things, it's become the most valuable. The person who can be comfortable in silence while others scramble to fill it has an immediate advantage. In this teaching, I'm going to share with you 7 Buddhist practices of sacred silence. These are not just ideas. These are practical applications that you can use immediately to build inner strength, command respect, protect your energy, and develop a presence that speaks louder than any words. Buddhism has perfected the art of silence over thousands of years, and today you're going to learn why silence isn't the absence of power. It's the presence of it. Let's begin. The first Buddhist teaching on silence is this: in moments of conflict, the person who can remain silent holds all the power. When someone attacks you with words, when they try to provoke you, when they want to drag you into an argument, your instinct is to defend yourself, to explain, to prove them wrong, to make sure they understand your side. Buddhism teaches that this instinct, natural as it is, gives away your power. Because when you react, you've shown them exactly how to control you. You've revealed that their words have power over your peace. You've demonstrated that they can pull you out of your center whenever they choose, and in that moment, you've lost. But the person who can remain silent in the face of provocation, they maintain complete control, not over the other person, over themselves. And that's the only control that matters. Silence in conflict is not agreement. It's not weakness. It's not fear. It's strength in its purest form. It says, "Your words do not disturb my inner peace. Your attack does not pull me from my center. Your provocation does not control my response." Think about someone yelling at you, trying to start a fight, saying things designed to hurt you. Now imagine you say nothing. You maintain eye contact. Your expression remains calm. Your body stays relaxed. You simply observe them without reacting. What happens? They escalate. They try harder. They get louder because your silence is driving them to madness. They need your reaction to feel powerful. Your silence removes their power completely. Buddhism teaches that anger is like a fire. It needs fuel to continue burning. When someone directs anger at you, your defensive reaction is the fuel. Your argument is the oxygen. Your emotion is the wood. Remove the fuel, and the fire dies on its own. This is why silence is so powerful in conflict. You're not fighting the fire. You're simply refusing to feed it, and without fuel, it consumes itself. But this practice requires tremendous inner strength because every part of you wants to defend, explain, prove, correct. Your ego is screaming to be heard. Your pride is demanding to be validated. Your sense of justice is crying out for fairness. Buddhism asks you to master all of these impulses, to sit in the fire of your own desire to speak and choose silence instead. This is not easy. This is advanced spiritual practice, but it's also the path to unshakable inner strength. When you can remain silent while being attacked, you prove to yourself that you are not controlled by external circumstances, that your peace is not dependent on others' approval, that your center cannot be shaken by words, and others feel this power. Even if they don't understand it consciously, they sense that they cannot move you. They cannot control you. They cannot pull you into their chaos. And this creates a respect that no amount of clever arguing ever could. Practice this today. The next time someone tries to provoke you, try to pull you into an argument, tries to make you defend yourself, choose silence. Not weak silence, not scared silence, but powerful silence. The silence of someone so centered, so strong, so complete within themselves that external chaos cannot disturb their inner peace. This is the first teaching. Master it, and you'll understand why Buddhism considers silence the ultimate power move. The second Buddhist teaching is this. When you practice silence, you develop the power of true observation, and observation reveals truths that talking always misses. Most people are so busy speaking, so focused on what they're going to say next, so concerned with being heard, that they never actually observe what's happening around them. They miss the subtle cues, the body language, the energy shifts, the unspoken truths that exist in every interaction. But the person practicing Buddhist silence, they see everything. Because when your mouth is closed and your mind is quiet, your perception sharpens. You notice things that the speakers miss. You catch the slight hesitation before someone agrees. You see the tension in their shoulders when they claim to be relaxed. You feel the energy of the room in ways that talking people never can. Buddhism teaches that reality exists in the present moment, not in your thoughts about the present moment, not in your comments about what's happening, but in what actually is. And you can only perceive what actually is when you're silent enough to observe it. Think about going to a meeting or a gathering. The people who talk the most often understand the least about what's really happening. They're too busy performing, presenting, arguing their point. But the silent observer, they see who has real power, who is pretending, who is uncomfortable, who is lying, who is authentic. This observational power is immense. In business, it allows you to read negotiations that others miss. In relationships, it helps you understand what people mean beyond their words. In life, it gives you a strategic advantage because you see reality while others see only their projections. But this requires training your mind to be quiet even when you're not speaking, because many people are silent externally but screaming internally. Their mind is a constant commentary. What should I say? What do they think of me? Am I being too quiet? Should I speak now? This is not the silence Buddhism teaches. Buddhist silence is both external and internal. Your mouth is quiet and your mind is still. This allows pure observation without the filter of your judgments, your fears, your desires. You see what is, not what you think should be. Practice this at your next social gathering. Instead of trying to contribute to every conversation, choose one interaction where you simply observe. Watch the dynamics, notice the power plays, see who speaks to fill silence versus who speaks to add value. Observe who listens and who just waits for their turn to talk. You'll be amazed at what you learn when you're not busy talking. Buddhism also teaches that observation develops wisdom, because wisdom is not about knowing many things. It's about seeing clearly, and you cannot see clearly when you're constantly adding your commentary to reality. The silent observer becomes wise because they collect data without the distortion of their ego. They learn from watching others make mistakes without having to make those mistakes themselves. They understand human nature at a level that the constantly speaking person never reaches. This is why Buddhist monks spend years in silence, not as punishment, as training. They're developing the supreme skill of clear observation, of seeing truth directly, of understanding reality without the interference of constant mental noise. Start practicing this today. In every conversation, spend more time observing than speaking. Watch how this changes your understanding. Notice how much you learn when you talk less. See how your perception sharpens when your mouth stays closed. This is the power of silent observation, and it's the second key to inner strength. The third Buddhist teaching on silence is this: the less you speak, the more power your words carry when you do speak. This is a profound truth that most people miss. They think that speaking more makes them more influential. They believe that constant communication increases their impact. They assume that the one who talks the most holds the most power. Buddhism teaches the opposite. Your influence is inversely proportional to your words. The more you speak, the less each word matters. The less you speak, the more weight each word carries. Think about someone who talks constantly, who always has something to say, who fills every silence with their voice. How much attention do you really pay to their words? Not much, because you know more words are coming. There's no scarcity, no value. Their constant speaking has diluted the power of everything they say. Now think about someone who speaks rarely. When they do speak, what happens? Everyone stops. Everyone listens. Because their words are rare, valuable, worth paying attention to, their silence has created a weight to their speech that the constant talker will never achieve. Buddhism teaches economy of speech, not as stinginess with words, but as strategic deployment of them. Speak when you have something worth saying. Remain silent when you don't. This simple practice transforms you from someone who makes noise into someone who makes impact. When you practice this, something interesting happens. You start thinking more carefully before you speak. Because each utterance matters, you make sure it's worth saying. This eliminates so much unnecessary communication, the complaining, the gossip, the pointless commentary, the need to fill silence with anything. What remains is only speech that serves a purpose. Speech with intention. Speech with power. Buddhism also teaches that silence before speaking creates anticipation. When people are used to you being quiet, and then you choose to speak, they lean in, they pay attention, they sense that something important is about to be said. You've trained them to value your words by making them scarce. Compare this to the person who speaks constantly. When they finally say something important, nobody notices, because it's lost in the flood of everything else they say. They've trained people to ignore them by devaluing their own speech through overuse. This is why Buddhist teachers often speak in short, precise statements. Not long lectures, not endless explanations, brief, powerful truths, each word carefully chosen, each sentence complete in itself. The silence around the words is what gives them power to penetrate. Practice this starting today. Before you speak, pause. Ask yourself, is this worth saying? Does this add value? Or am I just filling silence? If the answer is the latter, choose silence instead. You'll notice people start listening differently to you because your words become events rather than background noise, something to pay attention to rather than tolerate. This doesn't mean you become cold or distant. It means you become intentional. You still laugh, you still connect, you still share, but you eliminate the unnecessary, the filler, the noise, and in that elimination, what remains becomes powerful. Buddhism teaches that a single word spoken with full presence carries more truth than 1,000 words spoken mindlessly. That one sentence delivered with perfect timing can change a life, while hours of talking changes nothing. Master the art of speaking less, not from fear or uncertainty, but from strength and strategy. Let your silence create value for your words. Let scarcity create power for your speech. This is the third teaching, and it will transform how people hear you. The fourth Buddhist teaching is this: regular practice of silent meditation builds an inner calm that cannot be shaken by external chaos. This is where Buddhism's power of silence becomes truly transformative, because sitting in meditation in complete silence is not passive. It's the most active work you can do. You're building mental muscles, training your mind, developing a strength that most people never achieve. When you sit in meditation, especially in the beginning, your mind resists. It throws thoughts at you constantly, worries, memories, plans, judgments, an endless stream of mental noise trying to pull you away from the silence. Buddhism teaches that this resistance is your mind's addiction to stimulation revealing itself. Your mind is like a child who has never learned to sit still. It wants constant entertainment, constant problems to solve, constant drama to engage with. But when you train yourself to sit in silence despite this resistance, when you can observe the thoughts without following them, when you can remain still while your mind screams for activity, you develop something precious, unshakable inner calm. This calm is not the absence of thoughts or feelings. It's the ability to remain centered regardless of what thoughts or feelings arise. It's a deep peace that exists beneath the surface chaos, a stillness at your core that external circumstances cannot disturb. Think about someone in a crisis. The person who has practiced silent meditation responds differently than someone who hasn't. They can remain calm when others panic, clear when others are confused, grounded when others are scattered, not because they're special, but because they've trained for exactly this moment through countless hours of sitting in silence. Buddhism teaches that meditation is preparation for life. When you can sit still with an itchy nose and choose not to scratch it, you're training yourself to sit still with an insulting comment and choose not to react. When you can remain present with uncomfortable emotions in meditation, you're building the capacity to remain present with uncomfortable situations in life. This is why Buddhist monks spend so much time in meditation. They're not escaping life, they're training for it, building an inner fortress that the chaos of the world cannot penetrate. The practice is simple, but not easy. Sit in silence. Start with 10 minutes. Focus on your breath. When thoughts come, and they will, simply notice them and return to your breath. Don't fight the thoughts. Don't judge yourself for having them. Just observe them and come back to the silence. Do this daily. Not when you feel like it. Not when you have time. Daily. Like brushing your teeth or eating meals. Make it non-negotiable. What happens over time is remarkable. The inner chatter begins to quiet, not because you forced it to stop, but because you've trained yourself not to engage with it. You develop a gap between the thought and your reaction to it, and in that gap lives your freedom. You start to notice this calm showing up in daily life. Someone cuts you off in traffic, and instead of rage, there's a moment of stillness before you respond. Someone criticizes you, and instead of immediately defending, there's a pause where you can choose your response rather than being controlled by your reaction. This is the unshakable calm that Buddhism speaks of, not the absence of challenges, but the presence of an inner strength that remains constant regardless of outer circumstances. Start your practice today. 10 minutes of silent meditation, just you, your breath, and the training of your mind to be still. This is not wasted time. This is building the foundation of inner strength that everything else rests upon. This is the fourth teaching, and it's the practice that makes all other teachings possible. The fifth Buddhist teaching is this: physical stillness creates an energetic presence that commands respect without words. Buddhism recognizes that your body speaks louder than your words, and when your body is still, truly still, it broadcasts a power that everyone around you can feel. Most people are in constant motion, fidgeting, adjusting, moving, checking their phone, looking around, shifting their weight. Their body is in a constant state of low-level anxiety, broadcasting nervousness to everyone around them. But the person who has mastered Buddhist stillness, their body is completely at ease. No unnecessary movement, no nervous energy, no fidgeting, just calm, grounded, powerful presence. This creates an immediate impact. When you walk into a room and stand still, not stiff, but relaxed and alert, people notice. When you sit in a meeting and remain completely motionless while others shift and fidget, you command attention without saying a word. Buddhism teaches that this stillness comes from inner calm, not from forcing your body to be still. When your mind is at peace through meditation practice, your body naturally becomes still. The outer reflects the inner. Think about a cat sitting in the sun, completely still, completely relaxed. But if something moves, they can respond instantly. This is the quality of Buddhist stillness, not rigid, not tense, but completely at ease while remaining fully alert. This presence creates respect because it signals strength. Animals in nature recognize this. When a predator is still, prey animals freeze. Stillness signals power, control, confidence. Constant movement signals anxiety, uncertainty, weakness. Humans respond to these same cues even if we're not consciously aware of them. The still person feels more powerful than the fidgeting person, more grounded, more trustworthy, more capable. Practice this in your next conversation or meeting. Before you enter, take 3 deep breaths. Ground yourself, then walk in and find a position, standing or sitting, and become completely still, not frozen, just at ease. No unnecessary movement. Notice how this changes the dynamic. People pay more attention when you do speak. They seem more respectful of your space. They unconsciously treat you as more important than when you were fidgeting. This is because your stillness is communicating. I am completely comfortable in my own presence. I need nothing from this moment. I am at peace exactly as I am. This self-contained quality is magnetic. Others are drawn to it because most people never experience it in themselves. Buddhism also teaches that stillness conserves energy. Every unnecessary movement drains your battery. Every fidget, every adjustment, every scratch, every shift, all of it costs energy. The still person has more energy available because they're not wasting it on pointless motion. This energy becomes presence. It's palpable. People feel it even if they can't explain it. It's why Buddhist monks and experienced meditators often have this quality that makes people want to be near them, to listen to them, to trust them. You can develop this presence starting today. Practice stillness in small moments. When waiting in line, stand completely still instead of checking your phone. When listening to someone, sit completely still instead of fidgeting. When walking, walk with purpose and presence instead of rushing. Each moment of stillness is training. Each time you resist the urge to move unnecessarily, you're building the muscle of powerful presence. This is not about being a statue. You can move with purpose when purpose requires movement, but eliminate all purposeless movement, all nervous energy, all fidgeting and adjusting and checking and shifting. What remains is powerful presence, silent strength, respect without demanding it. This is the fifth teaching, and it will change how people respond to you. The sixth Buddhist teaching is this: strategic silence protects your precious energy from being drained by drama and chaos. Buddhism teaches that your energy is your most valuable resource, more valuable than your time, more important than your money, because everything you accomplish, everything you experience, everything you create requires energy, and most people are hemorrhaging energy without realizing it. One of the biggest energy drains is engaging with drama, arguments, gossip, other people's chaos, defending yourself, explaining yourself, getting pulled into unnecessary conflicts. All of this drains you, but silence is a shield. When you choose not to engage, when you refuse to participate in the drama, when you remain quiet while others spiral into chaos, you protect your energy completely. Think about someone trying to start an argument with you. They're baiting you, saying things designed to get a reaction. If you respond, you've just opened the door to your energy reserve, and they're going to drain it. The argument will take your mental energy, your emotional energy, your time, your peace. But if you remain silent, you've kept the door closed. They cannot access your energy without your permission. And your silence is you saying, "I do not give permission." Buddhism calls this protecting your inner sanctuary. Your energy is sacred. It should only be spent on what matters, on what aligns with your values, on what serves your growth and the growth of others. Spending it on drama is like burning money. This doesn't mean you avoid all conflict. Sometimes conflict is necessary and productive, but most conflict isn't. Most drama is just people trying to regulate their own emotions by pulling others into chaos. Buddhism teaches you to recognize this and refuse to participate. Practice this discernment. Before you engage with something, ask, does this deserve my energy? Will responding here create value or just drain me? If the answer is the latter, choose silence. You'll be amazed at how much energy you conserve. Energy that was being wasted on explaining yourself to people who don't want to understand, on defending yourself to people who've already decided you're wrong, on engaging with people who are just looking for someone to fight with. That conserved energy becomes available for what actually matters: your goals, your relationships with people who deserve your energy, your growth, your peace, your creative work, your spiritual practice. Buddhism also teaches that silence starves drama of the oxygen it needs to survive. Drama requires participation. It needs two people engaging. When you refuse to engage, when you choose silence, the drama dies on its own. The dramatic person will try harder at first. They'll escalate. They'll try new tactics to pull you in. But if you maintain your silence, eventually they give up and find someone else to engage with. You've protected your energy, and they've learned that you're not available for their chaos. This practice also creates a reputation. People learn that you don't engage with drama, that you don't get pulled into gossip, that you maintain your peace regardless of the chaos around you. This creates respect and also creates space. People who thrive on drama will simply stop approaching you with it. You become known as someone who is above the fray, not in a judgmental way, just in a, this person values their peace and energy way, and that reputation protects you even more. Start practicing this immediately. The next time someone tries to pull you into drama, whether it's gossip about someone, an unnecessary argument, someone else's crisis that isn't yours to solve, choose silence. Protect your energy. Let your silence communicate. I do not participate in this. This is the sixth teaching. Master it, and you'll have energy for what truly matters. The seventh and final Buddhist teaching is this: ultimate power comes not from controlling others, but from mastering your own mind. And a quiet mind is a powerful mind. This is the foundation of everything else. Because all external silence, all strategic use of words, all powerful presence, it all flows from an internally quiet mind. Buddhism teaches that most people are slaves to their mind. Their thoughts control them completely. They believe every thought that arises. They follow every mental tangent. They react to every mental story. Their mind is a loud, chaotic mess, and they have no control over it. But the person who has trained their mind to be quiet, they have achieved the ultimate freedom. Because when your mind is quiet, you can choose which thoughts to engage with and which to let pass. You're no longer controlled by the constant mental chatter. You've become the master of your own consciousness. This is real power, not power over others. That's an illusion and ultimately unfulfilling. But power over yourself, power to choose your response instead of being controlled by your reactions, power to maintain peace in chaos, power to think clearly when others are confused. The practice of creating a quiet mind is the same as the meditation practice we discussed earlier, but it goes deeper. It's not just sitting in silence for 10 minutes. It's training your mind to remain quiet throughout your day. When a thought arises, instead of immediately following it down a rabbit hole of associated thoughts, you notice it and let it pass. Like watching a cloud float by. You don't grab onto the cloud. You just observe it moving through the sky of your consciousness. This creates space between thoughts, where there is pure awareness, pure presence, pure power. Buddhism teaches that this space is your true nature. The thoughts are just weather patterns passing through, but you are the sky, vast, clear, unchanging. When you realize this, when you can rest in this space even briefly, you access a power that most people don't know exists. A quiet mind sees clearly. It's not distorted by fear, anxiety, desire, aversion. It perceives reality as it is, not as the mind's stories about it. This clarity allows you to make better decisions, to respond more effectively, to understand situations others miss. A quiet mind remains calm under pressure because it's not adding mental drama to external circumstances. Something happens, and the quiet mind simply observes and responds. The loud mind creates a whole story about what it means, what might happen next, what people will think, what could go wrong, and in that story, it creates suffering that doesn't exist in reality. Practice this throughout your day. Notice when your mind gets loud, when it starts spinning stories, creating drama, jumping from thought to thought. In those moments, take a breath, return to the present. Let the thoughts settle like sediment in water. Over time, this becomes easier. Your baseline state shifts from mental chaos to mental quiet. You spend more time in the gap between thoughts, more time in presence, more time in power. This is the highest teaching Buddhism offers on silence, because external silence without internal silence is just performance, but internal silence creates authentic power that radiates outward. A person with a truly quiet mind doesn't need to prove anything. They don't need to defend themselves. They don't need constant validation. They don't need to fill silence with noise. They're complete within themselves, and that completeness is the ultimate power. Start today. Train your mind to be quiet through meditation, through mindfulness, through catching yourself when your thoughts spiral and bringing yourself back to presence. This is the seventh teaching, and it's the one that makes you truly unshakable. Let me bring together these 7 Buddhist teachings on the power of silence. First, silence in conflict gives you power. When you can remain silent while being provoked, you maintain complete control over yourself and the situation. Second, quiet observation reveals truth others miss. When you speak less and observe more, you see reality that talkers are blind to. Third, speaking less makes your words carry weight. Scarcity creates value. Your silence makes your speech powerful. Fourth, silent meditation builds unshakable calm. Daily practice creates an inner strength that external chaos cannot disturb. Fifth, stillness creates presence that commands respect. Your body's silence communicates power more than any words. Sixth, silence protects your energy from drama. Strategic silence is a shield against those who would drain you. And seventh, the quiet mind is the powerful mind. Ultimate power comes from mastering your own consciousness. These are not theories. These are practices. Buddhism has refined these teachings over thousands of years. Millions of practitioners have proven their effectiveness. And now you have them. Silence is not the absence of power. it's the presence of it. It's not weakness. It's the ultimate strength. It's not passive. It's the most active practice you can engage in. In a world that worships noise, that values constant communication, that fears silence, the person who masters silence holds an advantage that few possess. Start today. Choose one teaching and practice it. Tomorrow, add another. Within a week, you'll notice changes. Within a month, people around you will notice changes. Within a year, you'll have transformed into someone who commands respect, maintains peace, conserves energy, and operates from a place of inner strength that most people never access. The Buddha taught that all power comes from within, that external power is an illusion, that true strength is mastery of self, and silence is the path to that mastery. If this teaching served you, share it with someone who needs to discover that their quiet strength is greater than any loud performance. And let me know in the comments which of these 7 teachings you'll practice first. Thank you for learning with me today. May you discover the profound power that waits in your silence.